Today we'll learn the grammar of 던 and 았었던, and since they are past tense modifiers, I will inevitably be comparing them with verb 은, which is also a past tense modifier of verb, right? And I would like you guys to know that Korean people don't always strictly distinguish between these three, and they're many times interchangeably used without major change in meaning. So you don't need to stress too much about using the absolutely correct one each time. But each of these modifiers has slightly different usage from each other, and they aren't always interchangeable. Sometimes using one over the other makes it delivers a slightly different meaning. So it's definitely helpful to at least have the knowledge of the right usages. So I'll be using the text lesson that I wrote prior to filming this so that you can understand my explanation a bit better. Also so that I could lead the class in a more organized way, and I don't forget to include all the points that I brought. Okay, so with that said, let's begin the class. For the first half of this class, we'll cover 던, and then we're going to move on to 았었던. So let's get started with 던 first. 던 is a past tense modifier form of verbs, but 던 can also be attached after a verb and adjective. But there's a reason why I brought the verb first. So we're going to focus on verb 던 first and then move on to adjective 던. There's a reason why I put it like this. I promise, stay with me. So verb 던 is what makes a verb into a past tense modifier. But then, how about verb 니은, 은? We also learned that this is a past tense modifier form of verbs, right? So how are verb 은 and verb 던 different? So let's look at the following examples first. 아빠가 먹은 피자. This one is the combination of 먹다 means to eat, right? And combined with 은 suffix, so this suffix, right? 은 피자. And 아빠가 먹던 피자. This 먹던 is a combination of 먹다, the verb that means to eat, and then 던. And since both are modifier, they modify the following noun, right? So 피자 means pizza. Pizza that ate, because it's past tense. And 아빠가 먹던 피자 also means the pizza that dad ate. But the difference between the two is that the first one, 아빠가 먹은 피자, means the pizza, it should be dad ate, the pizza that dad ate, and it's just a one-time action that happened in the past. Dad did the action of eating pizza, but there's no specific information about how he ate pizza. It's just an action that happened in the past. Whereas the second one, 아빠가 먹던 피자, means something more specific, and it has three possible meanings. So let's look at what those meanings are. So 아빠가 먹던 피자 can mean one of these three. The pizza that dad was eating, but he hasn't finished it yet. So there's still leftover pizza. The pizza isn't finished yet. And the second one, the pizza that dad used to eat on a regular basis. So used to, meaning he does not anymore. He does not eat this pizza on a regular basis, but he used to. And the third meaning of 아빠가 먹던 pizza would be the pizza that dad has been eating regularly up to this time. And for the third meaning, it's used when you're not sure whether he'll continue to eat that pizza on a regular basis. But as far as you remember, up to this point at least, this is the pizza that he has been eating regularly. If you're sure that he'll continue to eat that pizza, you can say 아빠가 dad 먹는 피자. If you combine 는 with verb, this is a present tense modifier, right? And present tense is used for actions, not only the actions that's happening right now, but also for actions that happens on a regular basis. And to a certain degree, you're certain that action will continue to happen, right? So pizza that dad eats. And it could be right now, or it could be a pizza that he eats regularly, right? So if you're certain that it's the pizza that he will continue to eat, then you can use 는. But using 먹던 for its third meaning implies that you're not certain whether the action will continue, but at least as far as I know, he has been doing that up to this time. So from this, guys, you can notice that 던 has mainly 3 usages. The first one is an action that started in the past but hasn't ended yet, right? The action left undone. And the second one is an action that one used to do continuously, regularly, repeatedly, and not anymore. And the third usage 던 has is that it's used for actions that one has been doing on a continuous, regular basis up to this time or up to the last time you saw or up to the last time you remember. But the point here is that it's usually used for actions that will not likely continue moving forward. It's also used for actions that you're not sure whether someone will continue doing that on a regular basis. If you're sure that it will likely continue, then as we learned in the example sentence above, you can use the present tense modifier form. However, you can use 던 if that action has been happening on a regular basis up to this time or up to the last time you remember, but it's likely not going to continue, or you're not sure. You're simply not sure whether something is still happening or something will continue to happen. So we learned the 3 usages of 던 so far, and it really just divides into 2 large categories. The first one is unfinished action, and 2 and 3, the number 2 and 3 usages have to do with the past state or action that happened on a regular basis, right? So if you look at it from the point of these 2, then remembering the usages of 던 wouldn't be too difficult. So let's first practice with the phrases that I brought and list out all the 3 possible meaning each phrase has. The 3 meanings that 엄마가 읽던 책 can have would be first the book. 책 means book, right? The book that mom, 읽다 means read, right? So it could be the book that mom was reading, meaning she hasn't finished it yet. There's still more pages left to be read in that book, right? 엄마가 읽던 책. And the second meaning is the book that mom used to read regularly, but not anymore, right? But maybe when she was younger, this is the book that she used to read regularly, then you can use 엄마가 읽던 책. And the third meaning you can have is the book that mom's been reading regularly. And again, for the third meaning, it often implies that you're not sure whether she will continue to read that or not, but up to this time at least, or as far as you remember, that's the book that mom has been reading regularly. And same with 아빠가 쓰던 노트북. So notebook here, this is pronounced like notebook, but it actually means laptop here. Laptop. So notebook can be used for like notebooks, the books that you write on, but more commonly it's used for laptop. notebook. And 쓰다 means to use, so it's a laptop. The first meaning it can have is that it's a laptop that dad was using, but he hasn't finished using it yet, meaning he has more to do with that laptop. He's not done with that laptop yet. And the second one is a laptop that my dad used to use regularly, implying not anymore, right? Not anymore. And the third one is the laptop that my dad has been using regularly up to this point as I'm saying this, or as far as I remember. But you're not sure whether he will continue to use that laptop regularly. And the third one, 재미있게 보던 drama. And if you say 보다, it means to watch. And 재미있게 보다 means you enjoyably watch it. So it means the drama that you enjoy watching, basically. So the first meaning it can have is the drama that I was enjoying watching, but I haven't finished the drama yet, right? I was in the middle of watching, but then I had to pause. There's still more left to be watched that I haven't finished watching yet. The drama that I was enjoying watching. But I haven't finished it yet. And the second one, the drama that I used to enjoy watching regularly. Maybe this drama is really old. It came out when I was a lot younger. And when I was younger, I used to watch this drama regularly. It could mean that. And third one, the third meaning you can have is a drama that I've been watching regularly up to this time, right? So now we know all the possible meanings of verb 던. But the question is, how do we know which one of these three 던 means in a certain phrase or sentence? So there are 3 tips that you can keep in mind. The first one is you can figure it out from the general context. So let's practice with the sentences that I brought. So for the first one, TV가 망가져서, when you say something is 망가지다, it means to be broken. So TV broke down basically. TV got broken. So 재미있게 보던 드라마를 더 이상 보지 못해요. 더 이상 means not anymore. And it's used with negative verb. So here 보지 못해요 means you can't watch it anymore. What can't you watch anymore? 재미있게 보던 드라마. The drama that you enjoyed. So here, which one of the 3 meaning, 1, 2, 3, do you think 재미있게 보던 드라마 means? According to context, the TV broke down, right? So you can no longer watch it moving forward. Meaning, up to this point, you have been watching this drama, but now that the TV is broken, you can't watch it moving forward. So this would mean the third one, right? The drama that I've been watching regularly up to this time. 재밌게 보던 드라마. So you can figure it out from the context. And for the next one, 이거 내가 마시던 커피인데 네가 다 마실래? 내가 마시던 커피. So coffee meaning coffee. 마시다, drink, right? So this is the coffee I drank. 네가 다 마실래? Will you drink all? So 다 plus verb also means to finish doing verb. So will you finish it? So this is the coffee I drank. Will you finish it? So according to context, you can guess that there's still leftover coffee, right? So this 마시던 would be the first meaning, the action, the unfinished action, right? So this is the coffee that I was drinking, meaning this is the coffee that I haven't finished yet, right? 내가 마시던 커피인데 네가 다 마실래? Will you finish it? Would you care to finish it? So by context, it's easily figure outable that this one means the first one, unfinished action. 남이 먹던 음식은 별로 먹고 싶지 않아요. So 남 here means other people. Someone that is not me. So this would be opposite of 나, me, and 남, others. 남이 먹던 음식, the food that others ate. 별로 먹고 싶지 않아요. I don't want to eat. Not really. 별로 means not really. And it's also used with negative verb to mean not really. So I don't really want to eat the food that others ate. So here, the most likely meaning it could have would be the unfinished food, leftover food from someone else, right? I don't want to eat the food that someone didn't finish, the leftover food from someone else. So this 먹던 would likely mean the first meaning, unfinished action. 먹다, eat, is the unfinished action done by others. 남이 먹던 음식. And let's look at the next one. 자주 오시던 손님이 안 보이네요. 손님 that came often 이 안 보인대요. Meaning that person cannot be seen. Meaning I can't really see that person. 자주 오시던 손님이 안 보이네요. Right now, I can't see her. I can see him or her. But that 손님, that customer, has been regularly visiting our store. That would be the sentence, that would be the meaning that makes the most sense, right? So 자주 오시던 here, this most likely means the third one. The 손님, the customer that has been coming to our store frequently, 자주, is now unseen. I can't see him now. You use 던 because you're sure that so far that customer has been coming to our store regularly. But right now, you can't see him, so you're not sure whether he will continue to come to our store. 자주 오시던 손님. So it likely means the third one. And the next one, 설리가 키우던 고양이를 김희철이 키우고 있어요. So, this is actually a true story. 설리 here and 김희철 here are real life people. For 설리, actually not anymore because she passed away. But Seolli used to be a really famous K-pop idol. So if you know who Seolli and Kim Hee-chul is, and if you know that Seolli, if you know the context, the real life context that Seolli has passed away, then you can totally understand this sentence. 설리가 키우던 고양이를 키우다 means to raise a cat. In Korean, we don't really say I have a cat. I mean, we do say that, but we more say we raise a cat. So 키우다 here means raise. So the cat that 설리 raised, 를 김희철이 키우고 있어요. 고 있어요 is present progressive, right? Something that's happening right now. So 김희철 is now raising it, right? So 고양이 that 설리, this would be used to raise because Holly is not here anymore. She passed away around 3 to 4 years ago. So this can only mean number 2. The cat that she used to raise. This can only mean number 2. It's not an unfinished action or Holly has been raising because Holly is not here anymore. She's been gone for the past 3 to 4 years. So you can figure out what 던 means in a particular sentence or phrase by looking at the general context. Second tip that you can use is you can get the most obvious hint from the time adverbs that are used. So, for example, if you say 엄마가 어제 읽던 책, this would mean the book that mom read yesterday, right? So since 어제 is added, 어제, that specific time in the past, this 읽다 cannot be something that regularly happened because the writer already designated the time, 어제, so this is a past action that happened, not something that regularly happened. So from the adverb 어제, you know that the action 읽다 started yesterday, so it cannot mean regularly. And the only possible meaning would have to be the book that mom started reading yesterday but hasn't finished yet. So this would most likely mean number 1, right? And the second one, 이거 동생이 쓰던 노트북이네. This is the notebook. As I told you guys, this means laptop. It's the laptop that my 동생, younger sibling, used. 요즘도 쓰나? 요즘 means these days, recently. Does he use it these days as well? Meaning, does he still use it? So here, this question indicates that you're not sure whether he still uses it or not, right? But as far as you remember, up to the last time you remember, this is the notebook, the laptop that my younger sibling has been using. 그래서 this would most likely mean the third one, the laptop that my younger sibling has been using up to this point or up to the time that I remember. But I'm not sure whether he still uses it or not. So looking at the time adverb, you can get the most obvious hint. And for this one, 주말마다 재미있게 보던 드라마가 오늘 끝난대요. So 주말 means weekend. 마다, every. So every weekend. 재미있게 보다 means to enjoy watching, right? A drama that I enjoyed watching. 오늘, today. 끝난대요. So this is the abbreviation of the 타고 했어요, the quotation grammar, right? So it is said, or I hear, that the drama that I enjoyed watching every weekend ends today. 오늘 끝나다. So here, 주말마다 means every weekend, and the very phrase implies the regularity of the action. When you say every weekend, it happens every weekend, so it's inevitably a regular basis, right? It also says the drama ends today, 오늘. So the sentence, the 던 here would mean the drama that I have been watching on a regular basis until now, up to this point, because it says it ends today. You've been watching it up to this point, 오늘, and you will no longer be watching it from now on because it ends today. So this is something that you have been doing up to this point. So this one means number 3. And the last tip is that you can also narrow down the meaning by paying attention to the nature of the verb that's modified with 던. So let's look at the example. In this phrase, 옆집에 살던 사람, 살다 is the verb that's used with 던. So if you look at the nature of the verb 살다, which means to live, when you live, you continue living. You inevitably continue living because it's either you live or you die, right? So living inevitably has a continuous or regular nature to it. So meaning number 1 doesn't make sense, right? If it's meaning number 1, then it means the person who is living next door, but she hasn't finished living yet. This doesn't make sense, right? Because as I explained, living is not an action that can be left undone, right? So you either live or you die. So we can omit this. And number 2, the person who used to live next door. So I forgot to tell you the meaning of 옆집. Actually, you guys can figure it out yourself. 옆 means next, like next to, beside. 집 means house. So 옆집 means next door. So 옆집에 살던 사람 would mean the person that lived next door. And this could mean the person who used to live next door, right? I didn't add continuously here because living is already something that happens continuously, right? And used to meaning not anymore. But this is the person that used to live next door. And the third meaning it can have is the person who has been living next door up to this time. So its possible meaning narrows down to just 2 and 3, not number 1. So if you say 예전에 옆집에 살던 사람한테 최근에 연락이 왔어요. 예전에 means previously, like in the past. 예전에 옆집에 살던 사람한테 연락이 왔어요 means from this person I got a contact. So that person reached out to me, basically. Reached out to me recently. And so here, there's a time adverb clearly stating previously, in the past. So this cannot but mean, the 옆집에 살던 사람 cannot but mean the person that used to live next door. Because 예전에 clearly states that this is what happened in the past, right? So this would mean number 2. And 옆집에 살던 사람이 곧 이사를 간대요. 곧 means soon. 이사 가다 means to move out. And quotation, contraction grammar, I hear, or someone said. So I hear that person is moving out soon. Moving out soon, meaning up to this point, that person has been living next door, but will not continue to live there because he's living, that person is moving out, right? So this one, 옆집에 살던 사람, would likely mean the third one. The person that's been living next door up to this point said she will be moving out soon. So from 곧 이사를 간대요, from this context, we can figure out what 던 means exactly. And let's look at the second one. 네가 입던 옷. 입던 옷. So we can pay attention to this verb 입다, which means to wear. So if you apply the first meaning to this phrase, it would mean the clothes you were putting on but haven't finished yet. So this is the clothes that you haven't finished putting on yet. So it makes sense, but it's quite unusual to refer to a piece of clothing that someone hasn't even finished putting on. So we can leave this out. And the second meaning, clothes that you used to wear regularly. So number 2 actually makes more sense than number 1, right? So it could, 네가 입던 옷 could mean the clothes that you used to wear regularly on a regular basis, but not anymore. Number 3, it's the clothes that you have been wearing regularly up to this time. And you're not sure whether that person will continue to wear that, but as far as you remember, or up to this time, that's what you have been wearing regularly. So its possible meaning, again, 네가 입던 옷 possible meaning narrows down to number 2 and 3. So 이거 네가 자주 입던 옷 아니야? Isn't it? Like, aren't these the clothes that you wore often? So this could have 2 meanings. Number 2, aren't these clothes that you used to wear regularly often? Or number 3, aren't these clothes that you have been wearing often up until this point? And to make it even more clear which one of the above 2 you mean, you can add an adverb that points to a specific time or time frame. So if you want to mean the second one, the clothes that you used to wear often but not anymore, you can say 이거 네가 어렸을 때. You can point to a specific time in the past. When one was younger, 어렸을 때 mean when one was younger, during childhood. So aren't these clothes what you used to wear often? Used to wear often when you were young. It cannot but mean you used to wear because you pointed to a specific time in the past. 어렸을 때. But if you want to mean the third meaning, then you could add adverbs like 요즘, which means these days. 이거 네가 요즘 자주 입던 옷 아니야? So aren't these clothes what you've been wearing often these days? It cannot but mean the third one because it has 요즘, the adverb 요즘 in it, right? And let's move on to the third one. 우리가 가던 식당. The 식당, restaurant that we went. So it could have 3 possible meanings. The first one, the restaurant that we were going but haven't finished yet. So this is also quite unusual, so we can leave this meaning out. But if you're meaning to say the restaurant that we were headed to but haven't finished arriving, it's better to use 가고 있던, the present progressive plus 던, rather than just 가던. So 가고 있던, this more clearly delivers the meaning that this is the restaurant that we were heading to, but we haven't finished arriving yet. 우리가 가고 있던 식당, it could mean the first meaning, but 우리가 가던 식당 would mean one of the 2 meaning, the restaurant that we used to go regularly, or the restaurant that we have been going regularly up to this time. So let's look at the example sentences here. 오늘은 어디에서 저녁을 먹을까요? Today, where dinner, eat, shall we? So where shall we eat dinner, right? And 우리가 평소에 자주 가던 식당 어때요? How about 어때요, right? How about 평소에 자주 가던 식당? Here, the time adverb 평소에 is used, and 평소에 means at usual times. That's what you usually do. So 평소에 자주 가던 식당 is the restaurant that we go often usually, right? That we have been going, at usual times. Us going to that restaurant on a regular basis has been happening until, now, because this is something that usually happened. So this 던 would mean the third meaning, the 식당 that we have been going often, that we have been visiting often. So how about the place that we usually go often? And this can also be interchangeably used with 평소에 자주 가는 식당. 자주 가는 식당, the present tense modifier, if, like I explained, it's the restaurant that you are certain that you will continue to visit frequently moving forward. Actually, 자주 가는 식당 will be used more often in this case because when the doer of the action is like the first person, I or we, you're more certain whether that will happen, that will continue to happen or not, right? So it's better to use 자주 가는 식당 here. And the second one, 학생 때 자주 가던 식당이 문을 닫았대요. So 문을 닫다 means to close the door but it also means for a business to shut down, for like stores to go out of business. So 학생 때 refers to a specific time in the past when I was a student. 학생 때 자주 가던 식당이 문을 닫았대요. I heard that. They say that. The 식당 that I went often when I was a student closed down. So 자주 가던 식당 would have to mean the second meaning, the 식당 that I used to go often when I was a student. 그다음에 내가 다니던 학교. So here, 다니다 means to frequent a place, but a place not just anywhere, but a place where you go as a member of that place. So usually it's for work, it's for school, or somewhere that requires a membership. So it could be like a library or a gym, right? Some place that requires a membership. Those kind of places, you can use 다니다 when you want to say you go there often. 다니다. So 내가 다니던 학교 would mean the school that I went to, basically, that I was a student of. And the nature of the verb 다니다 is that just like 살다, which means to live, it's not something that can be left undone. You either frequent a place or not. So you can leave out the option, the first one, the school that I was frequenting, but left undone. The first meaning, leave it out, right? Since that doesn't make any sense at all. So if you say 여긴 내가 다니던 학교야, this would most likely mean the second one, the school that I used to go. And for this one, 지금까지 다니던 직장을 그만뒀어요. So 그만두다 or 관두다 means to quit. To quit. So I quit the job that 지금까지 다니던. So 지금까지 means up till now. So this adverb clearly states up till now, right? Up till now. So this one most likely means the third one. The job that I have been going till now. I quit. So up to this point, I have been, having that job. I have been going to that job, but now I quit, so I'm not going there any longer. So this is the 직장 that I have been going, that I have been having so far. 직장 means your job. It also means the workplace, the place you work at. Here it means job. 그리고 let's look at the fifth one. 지수가 좋아하던 남자애. 지수가 좋아하던 남자애. So 좋아하다, guys. 좋아하다 means to like. And 좋아하다 is also something that you can't really leave it unfinished, right? You either like that or you don't, right? So the boy that Jisoo was liking but haven't finished yet, this doesn't make sense, so you can leave the first meaning out. And it either means the boy that Jisoo used to like and not anymore. And the third one, the boy that Jisoo has liked up to the last time I remember, but I'm not sure if she still does. So let's look at these two example sentences. 고등학교 때. 고등학교 때 points to a specific time in the past. 고등학교 means high school. So when we were in high school, 지수가 좋아하던 남자애의 이름이 기억이 안 나요. When you say 기억 means memory, and 기억이 나다 means to remember, as in you can remember something. And when you say 기억이 안 나다, it literally means the memory doesn't come up, so you don't remember. You can't remember. 기억이 안 나요. I don't remember 이름. The name of 남자애, the boy that 지수 liked back in high school. So this 던 likely means the second one, as in used to like, because it points to a specific time in the past. I can't remember the name of a boy that Jisoo used to like in high school. And the second one, 쟤는, so 쟤 is an abbreviation of 저애, which means that person, and it's a common pronoun in 반말. So 쟤 could mean either he or she. pointing to someone, that person. So 쟤는 he, 지수가 좋아하던 남자애 아니에요? Isn't he the boy that 지수 liked? 지수가 좋아하던 남자애? 아직도 좋아하나? 아직도 좋아하나? 아직도 means still. 나 is a question ending, and you use this when you're kind of wondering to yourself. So 아직도 좋아하나? Does Jisoo still like him? So this question indicates that I'm not sure whether she continues to like him or not. But as far as I remember, this is the boy that Jisoo has liked. 쟤는 지수가 좋아하던 남자애 아니에요? 아직도 좋아하나? So this would mean the third one. 다음에 the last example. place에 있던 가방. So 있다. When you say something 이가 있다, it means that something is there, right? It is there, like existence, or it could mean to have that something. But here it's place에 있다. place에 있다. So when you say something, 이가 place에 있다, it means that something is in or at a place. It's located or exists in that place. So 가방 means bag. So place에 있던 가방 would be the bag that was in the place, right? That was in or on or at the place. So let's apply the first meaning. The bag that was being there but hasn't finished. So 에 있다. When something or someone is located somewhere that cannot be left undone, right? You're either there or not there. So number one doesn't make sense. And the second one, the bag that used to be there, be at that place, but it's not there anymore. So it could be number two, or the bag that has been at that place up to the last time I saw it, or as far as I remember, the bag has been there. So it could mean one of the two things. So let's figure it out from the context in each sentence. So 여기 있던 가방 봤어요? 봤어요 means did you see, or like have you seen? And you likely ask this question when something isn't there, right? So 여기 있던 가방 봤어요? This question implies that 여기 있던 가방 is not there anymore. So here it means that used to be there. There was here up until like a certain point in the past, but now I see that it's gone. So it means, have you seen a bag that had been here, but it's now gone? So as you can see, again, it's mostly about the context. It's figure outable by context. And the next one, 열쇠는 식탁에 있던 가방에 있을 거예요. So 열쇠는 가방에 있을 거예요. 열쇠, the key, 열쇠 means key, will be in the bag that 식탁에 있다. 식탁에 있던. So this can be replaced with 식탁에 있는 가방. If you're certain that 가방 is still on the table, or if you're now seeing that the bag is on the table, so you're certain, then you can use 식탁에 있는 가방. But let's say you're now in a room, and in the kitchen there's a dining table. And just a few minutes ago, when you were in the kitchen, you saw that the bag was on the table. And now you're in the room and a few minutes pass, so you might not be so sure that the bag might be on the table, right? Because a few minutes has passed and somebody might have taken it. In that case, you can say 식탁에 있던 가방, 더 가방 that has been on the table up to the last time that I remember, up to the last time I saw it. Then you can use 식탁에 있던 가방. But you're absolutely certain that 가방 is on the table, then you can use 식탁에 있는 가방. So most of them really are figure outable by context. Okay, so far we have been focusing on verb-던, right? Now we're going to move on to adjective-던. And there's a reason why I separated the two. It's just to make it easier for you guys to take in what we're learning without getting too confused. So adjectives are traits of something or somebody, right? So inevitably, it has a continuous, regular nature. It doesn't necessarily continue for good, of course, because everything changes in the end, but compared to an action, a verb, adjective simply cannot be paused and it continues, at least for a certain period of time, right? So when using adjective with 던, it really narrows down to only two meanings. The second one and the third one. The second one would be somebody or something used to have that trait, right? Or the third one, someone or something has been adjective as far as I remember. Up to the last time I saw her, but you're not sure whether something or someone still continues to be adjective. So it can mean one of the two meanings. And also I wrote it here that 던 or 았었던, we'll move on to 았었던 pretty soon, but 던 and 았었던 are the only past tense modifier of adjectives, guys. So when it comes to verb, there are three: verb-은, verb-던, the usages of which we learned, and we still have left 았었던, which I will cover soon in this lesson. But verb has three types of past tense modifier, whereas adjective only has two. So if you want to put a past tense modifier of adjective for a certain noun, then you can use adjective 던 or adjective 았었던, which we'll learn pretty soon, but it means noun that was adjective. So let's try translating these sentences that I brought. So a girl with long hair was crying alone in the bus station. So a girl with the long hair. So long hair, to have a long hair is 머리가 길다. And since this is a girl that I saw in the past, right? It could be yesterday, it could be last week. We're not sure when, but it's definitely something that happened in the past. So we can use the past tense adjective to modify a girl. So a girl with long hair, you can translate it as 머리가 길다 plus 던. 머리가 길던 a girl, 여자애가, and we can translate the rest, was crying alone in the bus station. 버스 정류장, bus station, 버스 정류장에서, in the bus station, alone, 혼자, 울다, plus 울고 있다, plus 울고 있었다, because it was crying, past progressive, right? So 울고 있었어요. 머리가 길던 여자애가 버스 정류장에서 혼자 울고 있었어요. 그리고 the second one, aren't you that kind lady from yesterday? Aren't you? For aren't you can use 아니에요. It can be at the end, right? So 어제 from yesterday, 어제 that kind lady. 어제 그 친절하다 means kind. 친절하던 for lady, let's use 아주머니. 아주머니 is a middle-aged lady. So 아주머니 that was kind yesterday. 아니에요? Or if you want to use honorific, you can say 아니세요. 어제 그 친절하던 아주머니 아니세요? You can use the past tense modifier of adjective because you're talking about the 아주머니 that you recollect from yesterday, from the past. So you can use a past tense form of adjective. And the third one, my dad who used to be fat. My dad who used to be fat. So here we can use the past tense form of adjective by using 던. And fat is 뚱뚱하다. 뚱뚱하다 means to be fat. So 아빠 is the modified noun, so we're gonna use the modifier first. Who used to be fat? 뚱뚱하던. 뚱뚱하던, who used to be fat. My dad comes next. 아빠. 뚱뚱하던 아빠가. My dad, who used to be fat. 뚱뚱하던 아빠가 lost a lot of weight and he's now thin. Lost a lot of weight. To lose weight is 살이 빠지다. Literally meaning for the weight, for flesh to be lost, for flesh to be removed, so you lose weight. 아빠가 살이, a lot of weight. You can use 많이, the adverb, 많이 빠져서. Now he's now thin. 지금은 날씬하다, to be thin. 날씬하세요. 날씬하세요. You can use the honorific form, or if you just want to use the normal ending, you can use 날씬해요. 날씬해요. 뚱뚱하던 아빠가, my dad who used to be fat, 살이 많이 빠져서 lost a lot of weight, and 지금은 날씬하세요. He's now thin. So before we move on to verb 았었던, there's one more point that I would like to cover, which is that 던 can also be interchangeably used with verb in this case. So although not as common as the three meanings that we just learned, verb 던 can also be used when recollecting any past action, regardless of regularity or completion. Whether it happened on a regular basis or whether it's unfinished or not, it can refer to any past action. So in this case, it would be interchangeable with verb since this is a general past tense modifier of any action done in the past, right? But the difference between 던 and in this case would be that using verb 던 has a more recollective nuance to it. So verb sounds, just quite plain. It's just an action that happened in the past, but verb 던 makes it have a more recollective nuance to it. For example, guys, 어제 공원에서 울던 여자애 기억나? So 어제 points to a specific time in the past, which is yesterday. If we apply one of the 1, 2, 3 meaning, it would have to be number 2, right? Because 어제 points to a specific time in the past, so it cannot be something that's done regularly. However, in this sentence, you're asking if you 기억나, if you remember. Here, 울던 doesn't necessarily have to do with she was crying, but she left it unfinished. It's just a past action that 여자애 did in the past. So, this will be interchangeable with 공원에서 운 여자애. 공원에서 운 여자애 기억나? Because they both refer to a past action that 여자애 did, right? But by using 울던, you add more recollective nuance to that girl. Do you remember that girl? And the second one, 어제 공원에서 야옹대던 고양이를 또 보고 싶어요. So 보고 싶다 has double meaning. It means you miss. And the second one is you want to see. So here, 보고 싶어요 means like, oh, you missed that cat, as in you want to see that cat again. You're kind of recollecting the cat. You can use 던 with the action that 고양이 did, which is 야옹대다. 야옹 means meow, and 야옹대다 is a verb that means to meow, to make meow sound. So 고양이 that was meowing in the park yesterday, I want to see it again. So this doesn't necessarily have to do with the 고양이 was meowing but left it unfinished, but it's more you're recollecting the action that 고양이 did. So when 던 is used this way, due to its recollective nuance, it often appears in poetry or lyrics where they reminisce about something or someone from the past. So like these two sentences, it's something that can be used in daily normal conversation. If you want to add some recollective nuance to your sentence, then you can always go ahead. But it's also very much often used in poetry or lyrics. So for example, this is part of the lyrics of the song Love Story by Ball 4. It's a really pretty song. If you take a listen, you will know what I mean by pretty song. But yeah, it's very catchy and I've been listening to it nonstop for the whole week. It's that good. But in that lyrics, she used 수줍게 꽃을 건네던 너, 수줍게 인사를 건네던 너. So she's using 던 here to add the recollective nuance to it. So let's just break this lyrics down. So 수줍다 means shy. So 수줍게 means shyly. 꽃, flower. 건네다 means to hand over. So 꽃을 건네다 means to hand over the flower shyly. 던 너. So you who handed over the flower shyly. 그런 너에게, to you who was handing over the flower shyly, I smiled and 손을 내밀었지. I smiled and gave you my hand. So this 건네던 doesn't necessarily mean one of the 1, 2, 3 meaning that we covered, but it's more a past action that happened, the past one-time action that you did. So this can be interchangeably used with 건넨, with the past tense modifier, 니은, 은, a verb, right? So 수줍게 꽃을 건네던 or 수줍게 꽃을 건넨다 doesn't make major difference in meaning. However, 수줍게 꽃을 건네던 너에게 has a more endearing feeling because of the recollective nuance it has compared to 건넨. 그리고 the same with this part, 수줍게 인사를 건네던 너에게 살며시 입을 맞추었지. So to you who 인사를 건네다 means to hand over the greeting. So it means to offer greeting, as in to say hi. So you who is saying hi shyly, 살며시 입을 맞추었지. I kissed lightly. There's no problem if you replace it with 건넨, but it will kind of lose that recollective nuance, that more endearing nuance. So that's pretty much all there is to cover about verb adjective 던. Alright, so now that we're done with 던, it's kind of like a wordplay here. Now that we have mastered the usage of 던, we're going to move on to 았었던, which will feel a lot easier for you to understand now that you are more familiar with 던's usages. So 던 has 았었, which is the past conjugation of verb or adjective, right? Therefore, it indicates the completion of an event, state, or action. So 았었던 is used to recollect something that first was the case in the past and not anymore, past state of affairs, or the second one, past event or actions that has already come to an end, that was already completed in the past. So let's look at the example sentences below that applies to each case. So let's look at the example sentences that apply to past state of affairs. So we're not gonna break down the whole sentence, but only the part that has 던 in it, the phrase that has 던 in it. So 어렸을 때 아주 작았던 지수. So this 아주 작다 means to be small, conjugated in past tense, and then put 던 to modify 지수. So 지수 used to be like this, right? 지수 used to be small, very small when she was young. 지금은 이렇게 됐네, 이렇게 컸네요. She has grown up this much now. Next one. 운동을 좋아했던 동생. Here, 운동을 좋아했던 modifies 동생. So 동생's past state, right? 동생 used to 운동을 좋아하다 means to like exercising, right? Like working out, or like playing sports. 운동 can mean working out, or it can mean sports. Workout also means playing sports. 운동을 좋아했, past tense, and then put 던. So this indicates what 동생 used to be like. 동생 used to like 운동. 지금은 다리를 다쳐서 his legs got injured. So 지금은 그렇게 활동적이지 않아요. 활동적이다 means to be active. Like loves to participate in activities. So after he got his legs hurt, now he's not that active. The next one. 이 집은 제가 어렸을 때 살았던 집이에요. So here 제가 어렸을 때 살았던 modifies 집. So what kind of 집, house is it that I used to 살다, live when I was young, right? And the next one. 오랫동안 K-pop 팬이었던 제 동생. So here K-pop 팬이었던 modifies 제 동생. And this one, this 팬이었던 is a combination of 팬이다. 이다 verb plus past conjugation plus 던. And it became 팬이었던. So 이다 means something is noun, right? So something was, used to be noun. So 팬 means a fan. Like a fan of some music, some artist, fan, that kind of fan. So my brother or my younger sibling, 제 동생, who used to be a fan of K-pop 오랫동안 for a long time. 더 이상 K-pop을 듣지 않아요. No longer listens to K-pop. So each sentence above indicates a past state of affairs that hasn't continued to the present, right? So it used to be the case, not in the present, but in the past, right? And here, in all of these sentences, you may have noticed that these verbs or adjectives express a degree of continued state. Since 작다 is an adjective, it's inevitably continuous. It has inevitably continuous nature in it. And 좋아하다, if you like something, you like it for a continued period of time, just like 살다, and also what you are, what one is, right? So they express a degree of continuous state, meaning they can also be replaced with 던 without changing any meaning, right? Because we learned that 던 has a meaning of an action that happened, or action or state that happened continuously, right? On a regular basis. So whether you say 어렸을 때 아주 작던 지수 or 어렸을 때 아주 작았던 지수, they mean the same thing. 지수, who used to be small. They mean the same thing. And same with the rest. 운동을 좋아했던 동생 or 운동을 좋아하던 동생. They all indicate 동생 used to like it, not anymore. 제가 어렸을 때 살았던 집 or 살던 집. They both indicate this is the house that I used to live. 살았던, 살던. 오랫동안 K-pop 팬이었던 제 동생 or 팬이던 제 동생. They all mean he used to be. So, in this case, when you're talking about the past state of affairs that used to be the case and not anymore, you can interchangeably use 았었던 and 던. 았었던 and 았었던, 던. 았었던, 던. Okay, so let's move on to 았었던's second usage, which is the event or action that had been completed in the past. So, let's look at the example sentences. 지난번에 만났던 카페에서 또 만날까요? So here, 만나다 verb is used, and 만나다 means to meet. And it can also mean to meet someone on a regular basis, as in to see someone, as in like kind of like dating someone. So unless it means the second one, like meeting someone regularly, as in like seeing someone, dating someone, it usually means a one-time event that happened between two people. They met, right? So here, 만났던 카페 means the cafe that we met last time. And the action of meeting already is finished, right? It happened in the past and it remains in the past, right? So it's an action that's completed in the past. In this case, it's not interchangeably used with 만나던 카페. And the next one, 지수 씨가 어제 노래방에서 불렀던 노래 제목이 뭐예요? So what is the title of the song that Jisoo sang, right? Jisoo sang yesterday at the karaoke. So here, 부르다 is the action. Singing a song is an action that Jisoo did in the past, right? She's not singing right now, but it's an action that Jisoo did in the past. And it ended in the past. So this one you can say 불렀던, 불렀던, and not 부르던. 정연이 생일 파티에서 입었던 드레스. 좀 빌려줄 수 있어? 빌려주다 means to lend. So can you lend me the dress that you 입다, wore. That means to wear, right? That you wore at 정현's birthday party. So here, 입다, you wore that dress at 정현's party. So wearing is also a one-time action that finishes in the past, right? So you can say 입었던 드레스, something that happened and completed in the past. 입었던 드레스. Next one, 이건 어제 읽었던 책이라서 다른 책을 읽고 싶어요. So 이건 this is 어제 읽었던 책. The 책 that I read. And here from 어떤 we can notice that this is the action. 읽다 is the action that has been finished, right? So this is the book that basically I completed reading. I finished reading. So 다른 책을 읽고 싶어요. I want to read another book. Since it means you finished, you cannot say 읽던 책. This would have a different meaning in that this would more mean the book that I did not finish reading, right? That started in the past but hasn't finished yet. So when you want to indicate that this is the book that you finished, it's correct to use 읽었던. 그 다음에 last one. 어제 먹었던 음식을 또 먹기 싫어요. 어제 먹었던 음식을 또 again 먹기 싫어요. I don't want to eat again the food that I ate, as in that I finished eating. So it means you don't want to have the same type of food that you had yesterday. But if you say 어제 먹던 음식을 또 먹기 싫어요, this would mean a leftover food. 음식 that you haven't finished. So 먹던 음식 most likely means a leftover food, whereas 먹었던 음식 is the food that you finished eating. So it cannot mean a leftover food. So you can clearly tell the difference between 았었던 and just 던 when they are interchangeable and when they're not, right? So all 5 sentences above indicate the action was already done in the past and does not continue now. In that case, you can use 았었던 over 던. So considering its nature that points to past events or actions, it can be replaced with past tense modifier, this, verb-은, without changing any particular meaning. 지난번에 만났던 카페, the coffee shop where we met last time. 지난번에 만난 카페, it also means pretty much the same thing of the cafe where we met last time, right? So 만났던 can be replaced with 만난 without changing any meaning. And 지수 씨가 어제 노래방에서 불렀던 노래, 불렀던, the action that happened in the past, 부른 노래, the action that happened in the past. 지수 singing song happened like yesterday, so it's the past. So whichever one you use, it doesn't have like major change in meaning. 입었던 드레스, or 입은 드레스, 읽었던 책, or 읽은 책, 먹었던 음식, 먹은 음식. So here, you might be curious, when talking about completed actions in the past, are both 았었던 and 은 used? And the answer is not always, because depending on what verb is attached, 은 doesn't always determine whether the action is entirely over. Rather, it focuses on the fact that someone did the action, not the result. We don't know the result, but just the action itself that person did. So for example, 지민이가 유학 간 곳은 미국이에요. In this sentence, 지민이가 유학한 modifies 곳. 유학하다 means to study abroad. So 유학한 is a modifier where 유학하다 and 니은 받침, the past tense modifier for verb, is combined, right? So 곳 means place, so place that Jimin went to study abroad. It means that. And here, in this sentence, we know for sure that Jimin had done the action of going somewhere to study abroad. He did the action of going there. He went there, but we do not know for sure if he's still there or not. But if you say 지민이가 유학 갔던 곳은 미국이에요. This is past tense conjugation plus 던 곳. So here it indicates that the action of 유학 가다 is already completed, as in the action 가다 itself and the result of it are all finished. So depending on what verb is attached, 은 and 았었던 may have slightly different meaning. This is a more larger category and this is a more specific category in that it only refers to a finished action. And for another example, this is the example sentences from the above here. I brought this again. 이건 어제 읽었던 책이라서, 어제 읽은 책이라서. So I told you guys that 어제 읽었던 책 can be replaced with 어제 읽은 책, right? However, the other way around does not necessarily work. So 어제 읽은 책 cannot always be replaced by 어제 읽었던 책 because, like I explained, in this past tense modifier does not always indicate the completion of an action. It just focuses on the doing of the action itself. So if you say 이건 어제 읽은 책이에요, it can mean one of the two things. First, this is the book that I read. You know, I did the action of reading. It doesn't say anything about whether I finished it or not. I just did the action of reading it. But you can also use 은 when you want to say I finished reading this book. In which case, it would be interchangeable with 내가 읽었던 책. So as you can see, this one does not always determine whether the action was completed or not. And the focus is more on the fact that you did that action. Whereas 던 is used for actions already completed. So you can see that 은 is a more general past tense. It's less specific compared to the other two, 던 and 았었던, right? So if you want to make it clear that you're referring to an action that's already completed, it's better to use 았었던 and not 은. And just like I mentioned in the beginning of the class, this is not something that we strictly abide by, since many Koreans interchangeably use 았었던 and 은. So you don't have to worry too much about getting it all perfectly, right? Like using it all perfectly, okay? Another difference between 았었던 and 던 and 은 would be that the former, so these two, can be used with both adjectives and verbs. So 았었던 and 던 can be combined with adjectives and verbs, which include 이다, whereas 은 can only be used with verbs when it's a past tense modifier. When 은 is used with adjectives, we learned that it's a present tense modifier form, right? And adjectives past tense modifier is either 던 or 았었던, which can be interchangeably used in this case, right? So, for example, you cannot say 작년까지 의사인 아버지께서 이제는 은퇴하셨어요. So, 은퇴하다 means to retire. So, 작년까지, until last year, my father, who was a doctor until last year, here, if you use 의사인, this becomes a present tense modifier form of 이다, right? Because we learned that for 이다, an adjective, for it to be a present tense modifier, you add 니은, 은, right? But for verb, the present tense modifier is 는, and the past tense modifier is 니은, 은, right? So 의사인 아버지께서, this is the present state. So it doesn't fit the sentence, right? You're talking about your dad who used to be a doctor till last year. So you cannot be using present tense modifier here. But you can say 의사였던 아버지 or 의사이던 아버지. Either you use 았었던 or verb-던, right? And let's look at the next one. 어렸을 때, when she was younger, 조용한 주희가. So 어렸을 때 refers to a specific time in the past, so you cannot be using present tense modifier, right? So this is incorrect. And the correct form would be conjugating the adjective in past tense and using past tense modifier, right? So 조용하다 means to be quiet, so either you conjugate it in past tense and then you use 던 to modify 주희's past state, or you can also just use adjective 던 주희, and they can be interchangeably used without changing any meaning. 조용했던 주희, 조용하던 주희. 오케이, 저희가 1시간이 넘는 시간 동안 많은 내용을 배웠는데요. 여기까지 따라와 주신 분들 정말 수고 많으셨고 또 감사드리고요. 마지막으로 복습으로 한눈에 좀 모든 내용이 다 담기게 그림으로 한번 그려볼게요. 일단 we learned verb-던 first, and then we moved on to verb-았었던. And then we compared it with verb-은. For the usages of 던, we learned mainly 3, right? The first one is action left unfinished. The second one was the past state or action that happened on a regular basis or in a continued state. And the third one is the action that has been happening on a regular basis, but often it's not likely to continue from now on, or you're not sure whether it will continue. In verb-았었던, we learned 2 usages of 았었던. So the first usage was the past state and action happened on a regular basis, which is interchangeable with 던, right? So this part, I'll just write it number 2 because it belongs to the number 2 of 던's usage. So that's the common denominator of verb-았었던 and 던. And 았었던 also had another usage, which was past completed action, in which case it would be interchangeably used with verb-은. And verb-은 can also be used with any past actions in general. Whether it's completed or not, it just focuses on any past actions. Also, I forgot to add that adjectives can be used for both 던 and 았었던 for past tense, whereas adjective cannot be used with 는 to become a past tense modifier, right? We also briefly covered kind of like the fourth usage of 던, which was recollecting the past actions done by someone. And since this can be used to recollect any past actions, it can be interchangeably used with verb-은. So this should be placed in the common denominator part. But the difference would be in the nuance, right? Using 던 would make it sound more like a memory. You're really reminiscing about something, or sometimes put more endearing feeling to it, whereas verb-은 sounds quite plain, quite normal. Okay guys, so I'll wrap this class up here. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you in the next class. Bye everyone. 다음 수업에서 봐요.